All right, here we go. Taberne Talks, back for another episode. We have an exciting one here, okay? It's 0 degrees outside. It snowed a little bit this morning, but who cares, right? We're here talking about the real estate market as we do every week. We're going through the new year here. I figured, let's really go deep into what's going on out there. I think, as I speak to a lot of realtors every week and loan officers, they're not too excited about the market right now. I don't feel any optimism at all, which is sad because in the beginning of December, we had a lot of optimism that we were going to have a good spring market coming up, that the rates were going to be coming down, after the election. And I've been talking about this week after week here. The rates have been going up, guys. I don't know if you've been seeing what's been going on with the 10-year treasury. If you follow Bloomberg.com, follow MortgageNewsDaily.com, rates have been on a steady incline. So if you need to check, you got to do your homework before you get into this market, okay? Look at what the rates are online and get a feeling of things are not 6%. They're not even 6.5%. The things have a 7 in front of them. And it looks like they're heading to 8, which hurts me and pains me to say that I might see 8% again, right? But this is not gloom and doom, right? This is fun stuff today because we're going to talk about the front line as usual. I have Kara Sachs here, Lamb Realty, okay? I've known her for a number of years. I'm going to go back to like the 2016 market, I think, is when I first met her. So she's been in it. This is not a newbie here. This is somebody who I watched go from nothing to something in this business, okay? She literally took her business to another level in front of my eyes. And I've done a lot of deals with her. My team has dealt with her. She's dealt with me through Allied Mortgage, through Green Tree Mortgage, and now to Movement Mortgage. Like this is a trail of companies that I've drug her through, but she's still happy, it looks like, right? So
you have to work with the right professional.
Which we're going to get into that, right? So let's get your background. Tell me how you got into it, and then where you are now.
Okay. Well, my background is a little convoluted because real estate was not exactly something I said, "Oh, I want to do this when I grow up."
No.
I played guitar in high school. I was in technology. Right after high school, I went to Fashion Institute of Technology. Okay. So I went to fashion school, and then I went to Temple for speech, language, and hearing to work with kids with communication disorders. Couldn't decide what I wanted to do, so I went out into the workforce, got a job, marketing, fundraising, PR, and then decided I'm going to be a teacher.
Okay, good.
And so for 12 years, I was a teacher. And, I taught special ed, and I'm kind of like my own mind. I'm about my kids, my clients, whoever I'm working for. And so I didn't get along with principals. They were none too happy to put me on the chopping list with the other layoffs.
Okay. Okay.
And
so that wasn't fun, obviously.
No, that wasn't fun, but it actually was meant to be. I really hated the politics. I hated fighting principals for the rights of my students. Yeah. And I was trying to sell my house. I bought my first house when I was 23. So
wow, we don't hear that anymore.
Yeah.
It's very odd that we hear that. I gave that stat a couple weeks ago. 38 is the average person now buying a house for the first time.
I was single. I was paying rent only for 6 months, but I was like, this is a waste of money. I'm so practical. I'm a Taurus. And then met my husband 6 years later, and we bought a house in Pennsauken during the bubble.
Okay. And what year was that?
That was 2003.
Wow.
It was as it was going up.
Oh yeah, I know. I remember.
And on its way down is when I got laid off, and we ended up going short sale.
And what year was that?
That was 2000. Well, when we sold, 2015.
15. All right. Yeah. So that was through the 08 market and all that.
Yeah. I didn't need to move. We wanted to move. We had the house for sale when I got laid off. Yep. And my husband was on workers' comp. And so that's where it turned into a short sale, not just moving, because then we can't even afford the mortgage.
Right. So this is real stuff, guys. This is really you don't see realtors really opening up about their past and what they've come from. A lot of them are not the glitz and glam that you see online and on Instagram and Facebook. I'm not putting them down. Listen, if your business is Instagram and Facebook and you want to act like, oh, it was rosy from day one of my life to rosy to now, that's well, great.
Everyone has a different why.
Everybody has a different why, and everybody has a different story, right?
And I was trying to get another teaching job, even though I didn't want one. I didn't know what to do. And we had a realtor, and I did not know this at the time. She was new. She was part-time, and part-time's not a bad thing, but she had no support and no training. Okay. She literally threw the listing agreement at me and went and get this. This is the first iPad that ever came out. Went and took pictures of the house with the iPad.
With an iPad, right.
And when she gave me the pictures, I gave her pictures because I also studied photography.
You were like, I can do your job for you.
Right.
Right. I mean, this is a typical, still goes on.
Yeah. Well, in open houses, she was late. So I would welcome people in, and I was an introvert, like a big introvert. And I changed her directional signs because she wasn't from the area. Again, should not be a problem, but she didn't do her homework to find out where traffic would see these signs. Okay. Because she actually yelled at me later because she's like, where are they? And I had to go get them for her. But my husband was like, you're doing her job. Like, you should try this. And I'm like, I don't like houses. Even though my dad was restoring Philadelphia homes from the time I was 5, I just didn't like houses. I kind of was like,
But you saw that you could have a knack for this.
Yeah, I saw what he meant, but I was like, for the first time in my teaching career, I'm getting paid over the summer because it's unemployment. Yeah. So I was like, let me just enjoy my kids. They were very little. And I took my oldest to kindergarten for the first day of school.
What year did you get licensed?
2015.
So 15, you got licensed. I started working with you right around there.
Right at that. Actually, probably that December is when I met you.
Correct. So. Let me give you an insight here, okay? Because she's being a little bit, she's being a little bit calm. How about that? She's being calm, so I'm going to really boast her ego here, okay?
Oh, boy.
All right? Right? I'm trying to look at the word. I'm trying to find a word, but I can't find it, so we'll get to that later. Anyway, I meet her. She starts with Weichert. Right. She goes on a good team at Weichert.
Well, not team. I was individual.
Oh, she was individual. I'm sorry. So I'm wrong. So she was individual
at Weichert. Not anything against teams, but I never did team.
Right. So she was individual at Weichert. She started doing a lot of open houses. Okay. Mm-hmm. And this is where a lot of realtors, and I think you guys have to listen to this now. I go online every day and I see realtors complaining, saying I'm doing open houses. It's a waste of my time. Not one person came in. I haven't gotten any traffic in weeks. Why am I wasting my time doing open houses? I'm a lender, right? I go to open houses sometimes, or I'll send people to my team doing open house to sit with a realtor to try to get the client as they come through the door. Okay. Kara started where she just started doing open houses every single week for what? Like 2 years?
So I got my license November 15th of 2015. Yeah. I did 9 before the end of that year.
9 open houses between November 15th and December 31st. Right.
Okay. I did 68 my first year.
68 open houses in 2016, right?
Right.
Okay.
And
68 guys. So that's how many? That's 12 a month? No, that's 5. That's 5.
I did a couple a week here
about
and
six
there.
A month.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
all right. Yeah.
I
need a calculator for that, guys. All right, listen, I do mortgages, but I press the button and it tells me the numbers, all right? I can't do this stuff. It's Saturday morning here, all right? I'm tired. I'm sorry, all right? No, keep going.
It's really important to know.
We'll edit that out too, all right? I don't want that on. Go ahead.
It's really important too that I always considered myself an introvert. I really was a loner. I didn't have a huge sphere. So coming in, I didn't have all these like, oh, I know someone who wants to sell a house. Like it's not a cousin or none of that. I had none of that. And actually not even a lot of support outside of my main, intimate family. So open houses I tried everything. I did the phone calls. I did the annoying stuff.
But I think the open houses were the home run for you.
But they were. And it was because people were coming to me. They were coming to look at a home. Yep. So all I had to do
put the time in.
I had to give them information. Yeah. That was my job.
Right.
And I had a couple lead network sales that year, but for the office, I would have been rookie of the year.
Yep.
And
she was.
And all of those sales, except for maybe 2, were from open houses. They were people I did not know. everyone was a stranger.
Yeah.
So my sphere built up from that year.
Yeah.
And
I mean, she was doing deal after deal after deal. I mean, as I witnessed it, she built her name through those open houses. A lot of agents reached out to me and asked me how she's doing it. I said, open houses.
And even if no one shows up, the marketing is great because it's the visibility of the home. It's the visibility for you. Visibility is such a key to selling a home, but it's also a key to selling you.
So why do you think agents are so we told your story there, and we know you've been successful since then, obviously, going from Weichert into Lamb Realty. Right now the pain is I want to get out of the business. I can't do it anymore. They're burned out. They're frustrated. I know you're seeing it. Why do you think, how can we fix that? Like, they want to get out. Should they stick it out right now? Or what's your feeling?
That's really tough. The ones I'm seeing leaving the most are actually veterans. They're
burned out.
They're burned out because the business has been different. Not only slower on one hand, but it's different. There are a lot more problems. They're on both sides of selling and buying.
Okay.
There's a lot more obstacles and it exhausts you. It really, really does. And I kind of find some of that as challenging. So it almost feeds my passion. So I have absolutely no interest in leaving the business. But for the younger ones, especially anybody came in at 2020, 2021, they most likely knew someone at the time. It was easy.
Sure.
They didn't, I had to learn, like you said, I had to learn from the ground up. I had to put everything in because there was nothing for me to take. And I had to earn it all. And some of it was just easier in 2020, 2021.
Well, the rates were 2% and 3%, right? So things are a lot easier when they're just falling out of the sky and we're getting
had
deals,
more money. And I mean, so many things have changed since then. We've seen the decline in the last couple of years. And if they don't know how to get the business, they don't know how to lead generate. If they're depending on lead generation systems, they're not going to survive.
Are open houses working now? Now, if you're getting into the business, let's go back to 2016 where your success was that. If I'm getting in right now, am I going and starting the open house thing that you did? Do you still think that works?
I think
in this market?
Definitely. I think it actually works more in this market because there's so many people on the fence that they're not willing to contact a professional just yet. And they want that safety net of going into an open house where they can talk freely and openly and without commitment. Because again, a lot of things have changed in the real estate market.
Obviously.
Where you have to sign to have an agent. So this is a good way of just meeting those people who are getting their feet wet with moving.
And it's still busy.
It's still busy. Yeah,
it's
definitely.
Still right.
Definitely.
If you find the right house on an open house right now, you could get 10, 20 couples come through, right?
Even if it's not the right house, sales are different with that, but open houses, people just want to come in and ask questions. People are afraid that if they call, and this doesn't happen with me, if you call a realtor to ask questions, that you're going to, that realtor's never going to leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like that realtor is just going to be on me and I don't want to open that can of worms.
Yeah.
But I've also watched people who don't do that and they get themselves stuck later because they didn't find out information. And the open houses kind of allow them to go in and ask a couple questions without, they still have to sign in. So it depends on that. Host.
I think this business is heading though, that there's more veterans in the business, like you said, that are getting out. That's happening on the mortgage side too, with loan officers. And I don't see a lot getting in. The younger generation is not coming out saying, I want to be a realtor or I want to be a loan officer. Like, not that we did that either. I didn't wake up, and say, I want to be a loan officer my career.
No, I didn't even get bit until I was months into it.
Yeah.
Like it really took a while.
But I think they see the veterans getting out, and I don't think they're saying I want to full steam get into it. So I think there's an exodus maybe of getting out and not an influx of getting in, which, could be good and bad.
Now we just got 2 new agents at our office, so I'm seeing.
Are they brand new or are they veterans?
One is newer and the other one's more of a veteran.
Okay.
And but they're this is kind of the time where people do kind of switch companies, agencies, and trying to figure out what what's the issue? And honestly, the issue is the housing market, not where you are necessarily.
The biggest question I'm getting asked right now, are we going to have a spring market?
Well, we're always going to have a spring market.
Is it going to be a good spring market?
I wish. Okay. So the one thing I've stopped doing the last couple of years is, and more so as every year goes by, is stop trying to predict it.
Okay.
Because I can't listen to economists anymore. Everything they say always turns out to be the opposite.
Yeah.
And no one seems to know. Right now, consumer confidence is so low, even though we're told it's higher, it's not. Everyone I talk to is worried about groceries, mortgages. They're worried about just everything has doubled in price. Like YouTube TV just went up.
Yeah.
I mean,
she's not lying, guys. I have people that are to the penny right now on closing the deal. Like they're saying, listen, I have $3,000 to close this deal. I don't have one penny more. That's it. And if it goes over $3,000, the deal's off.
Are you seeing that a lot of the people moving, this is what I'm seeing, a lot of the people moving is because they have to?
Maybe somewhat downsizing some of them. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they have to. I see a lot of people that are leaving the city, going to the suburbs.
I have one that's settling this week. That's leaving
So
Philly,
I see a lot of that. They want to get out of a certain area because of a certain situation that's going on that they don't like anymore. I see, listen, every mortgage payment that I'm doing right now, and I want to prep you for this if you're getting in the market, they're like $3,000 a month in mortgage payments. It's very rare that I'm doing a mortgage payment under $2,500 a month. The average is $3,000 a month for taxes, insurance, PMI, whatever it may be, if you're not doing 20% down. You really got to prep yourself. I think that's a major barrier to once these people hear the payments, they don't want any parts of it.
Right. Well, the ones who actually already own, I'm hearing the interest rate talk because they've refinanced, if not moved, they've refinanced.
And they don't want to touch that.
Right. Now. It's like 3%. I hear 2.6 and I'm kind of like, I get it. I do. I understand it.
And we can't refinance them either because they don't want to lose that rate to refinance. So we're doing a lot of home equity loans and lines of credit.
I've had a lot of HELOC questions and
a ton of questions on that because the truth is, a lot of these people need money. And the truth is you have more equity in your home than you know. I mean, the equity is through the ceiling right now. People just don't realize it. We send out these reports every month on HomeBot and different things to try to give people an idea of what the values are. It's estimated. I mean, it's not on the money, but they're like, what? I have $100,000 equity in my house. I have 50. They're blown away. Then they say, well, I want to take cash out because I'm loaded with debt. And then once they hear what the rate is, going from 2.6 to 7. They're like, no thanks.
Payment, right?
No thanks. The payment's going through the ceiling. And then next thing you know, they want to do a home equity loan or a line of credit. So we're seeing a lot of that too.
I am seeing a ton of relocation. And actually, I'm not seeing it from city to suburbs. I'm seeing it from state to state. Like I'm seeing a lot of people moving south.
Okay.
And I'm
going to Florida and stuff like that, you mean? Or
Tennessee is very popular right now. Okay. Virginia, a couple of people have gone to Virginia. And I know a lot of people want to retire to North Carolina. Not hearing a lot about Florida right now.
Okay.
And then I have estates and divorces. So I'm finding a lot of it is have to.
It might not be unfortunate, but there are a lot of divorce deals. I've done more divorce deals in the last year or two than I've done in the last 10.
I really do blame COVID for that. I think that tested a lot of relationships and finances.
Money had a big part.
Yeah. Finances have been terrible. And I really do think that's why the housing market's where it is right now.
Because of the financial situation that these people are in.
Right.
And they're not giving the truth on media. The media doesn't tell us really what is going on the front lines. That's why I bring people like this to tell you what's really going on the front lines, because she talks to people every day, all day, different people than me. She'll talk to realtors and different clients that are looking to sell and things like that, where we're just talking to people that are looking to buy and refinance. So she's getting a different point of view versus what I'm getting. And this is why I like to hear, it's not all roses.
It's not all roses, but I also don't feel like it's all dark.
Well, no, I don't think so either.
No, I'm talking to a lot of people who are trying to make their plans. They're trying to see what's going to happen next. They've pushed their plans up a few months. And they're wanting to move, but they want to make sure they do it the right way, which I'm huge on. I never would force anybody to move because I'm not about the sale.
Right.
So
every year I always say, and I've learned this from a mentor of mine that back from Allied, Stu Schilling, which I know you're hopefully listening. He was a great leader of the branch there, still is. He said, listen, Alex, everybody's gloom and doom in January because it's slow. And, they think that it's going to be a dead year then. And they're all throwing in their hats by mid-January and saying, I'm not going to make any money. And they go get a job and a part-time job, whatever they do. Okay. It's the Super Bowl, guys, right? The business doesn't start until after the Super Bowl. He says, and I put this to the test, the Monday after the Super Bowl, like Super Bowl Sunday, and then Monday in that week, we start to take off slowly. Right. And then we start to accelerate. Right.
And I always feel like it starts then, and then right after Easter is when it takes really
blows up. Yeah. Right. Like you're getting contracts, you're getting people making offers, things pick up. So you got to hang out through January and February to see the action. You can't throw in the towel in January and February, because if you throw in the towel in January and February, you're going to kick yourself when the people that have outstaged you've got out of the business now, and then they're doing all these deals. And you're like, I want to get back in. You can't. Now listen, you can't jump in and jump out,
No, you have to keep working.
You got to just stay in.
Exactly. And that's where I'm not sure a lot of newer realtors understand that, because they didn't have to. The business was brought to them. It
was a constant thing through 2020 and 2021. So they didn't need to jump out. Now a lot of them I think are saying, I got to jump out.
Yeah.
And then let's jump back in March. And then I'm going to jump out in July.
When I started in 2015, it was not a great market. It wasn't a terrible market, but it wasn't a great market by any means. You had to look for business. You had to find it, and houses would sit for a couple months.
Yeah.
Like we're not used to that. That's so long ago in our memory.
I was on we had an office on Broad in Passyunk. I know you remember. I had a few guys there that worked with me. We used to paper the neighborhood with flyers and put them in people's windshields and say, do you want to refinance? Okay. And this was 2017 or 18. You had to go out and get it. Okay. I was walking around putting flyers in people's windshields. Right? And it was cold, I remember.
And you weren't new.
And I was new. Listen, to 2017, that's almost my 18th year in the business or something like that, or not, whatever it was. And I was walking around putting flyers in windshields, asking people to refi. Okay. And we got a couple calls off of it. And I forced him to do it with me to prove that we have to do this every day. And we would go to brokers opens, like just walk in off the street on a Thursday afternoon at 12 o'clock and say,
I do brokers opens.
Right.
I go.
I know you don't know us, but we're in the neighborhood here. Our office is around the corner. Let's do some, you had to go out and get it. And I think you hit it on the nose. I don't think a lot of people want to do that right now.
Well, and I think you made a really good point. It is January, and this is the old market.
This is an old market. You wouldn't make any money.
This is traditional. I'm as busy as I expect to be, not compared to the last 4 years.
Yeah.
But before that.
Yeah. I remember, and listen, loan officers make less money than realtors per deal. Okay. A realtor will make more money per deal because they get paid a higher percentage per deal. And that's why realtors don't need to do.
I didn't even know that.
It's true. And if you don't know that, loan officers make a smaller cut because they do more volume, because they do refinances and they do home equity loans. And so a mortgage company is not going to pay a loan officer the same money as a realtor, because then they're going to say, well, this guy's making more money than the president of the company, right? So we make less per deal because we could do more types of business versus a realtor is just doing either a person buying a house or selling a house. Okay. But you got to say to yourself, the money, I remember in December, before all this in 15 and 14 and whatever, we closed 2 deals for the month. 3 deals was great if you closed it in December. January, you would close 1 or 2. And I used to tell my wife, I think we're in trouble here. Like, I'm only closing 2 deals this month. As a loan officer, you have a problem. As a realtor, fine. As a loan officer, you're never really making it.
You could have a problem as a realtor too.
You could have a problem as a realtor.
Dry spells hurt.
They hurt, right? And then she would say, oh yeah, well, what are you going to do, right? And
Work.
Right. What am I going to
Work.
do?
That's what you're going to do.
She would look me in the eye and say, what do you want me to say, dude? Like, I'm making pasta here, or food. You could figure it out, right? I had to figure it out. And I did.
Right.
I just cranked and worked hard and papered the street with flyers and did whatever I had to do to find business. And the business was out there.
You pivot and adjust.
You do. So listen, I touched on this last week. I touch on it a lot. A solid realtor team, loan officer team. You got to find one, right? What makes one?
Well, and I think you hit all of these as well. I think there's 4 key traits that you must have
to find a good team.
Yeah, right. Everyone in the team should actually have all these 4 qualities. One, I know you're definitely big on, but the first one actually, and I only put it first because you could have it and not the others, and it won't work. You cannot have it and have all the others, and it cannot work.
Okay.
Is communication.
Communication's one.
You definitely have to be available, and you have to respond, and you have to do it in a timely manner.
Correct.
And so that's number 1. Number 2 is honesty.
Honesty.
And not everybody is honest. So you want somebody who is going to give you the deal, the real deal. You don't want somebody who's going to sugarcoat it, because I know that's what you were talking about last week.
They do.
And you don't want that, because if they're sugarcoating it, they're not about you, they're about the sale. You want someone to know that if you take that step, you might fall off the ledge. And you want them to have the expectations of how everything works. The next one would be care. And when I say care, yes, I mean compassion. You want to care about your clients, but you want to care about your clients' goals. So to me, it's not about the sale, it is about the client's goals. So if the client's goals change, then my goals for them change. Okay. And even if that means not getting the sale right now. And I've seen you do that. So I've seen you follow through on sales that you're not getting anything out of. Oh yeah.
I mean, you have to do that.
But that's why we work well together, because
you have to do that because you never know who they're going to refer to you, right? You never know if they're going to come back to you down the road.
Well, and also you want to be able to put your head on your pillow at night and know you did the right thing.
Listen, many times I've gone to bed sick, right? And then I've woke up and I'm just a mess. It's not worth it. It's just, do the right thing. Listen, if you're not going to make $5,000 on the deal and you're not going to make anything, and you just got to tell somebody to walk them through to the end, just do it. You will feel a lot better down and deep inside. And I do believe these things come back to you in other ways.
Oh, karma's
like
bitch.
You, right? Yep. you do good. And like I've given deals away to loan officers on my team and just taken and run with it. Right. I've called realtors and said, here's a deal. Not, they already have a mortgage guy, but take the client because they need a good realtor. I believe those things do come back in other ways where all of a sudden I get busy out of nowhere and everybody else is dead in my branch. And they're like, what's going on? I think it's just something that, right?
Well, it's building the trust.
Yeah.
But that's not what I'm going to say yet.
Right. Was that number 4? Or?
No, number 4 is actually information. So my husband calls me information addict because I have to know everything about everything, and not gossip wise, but I have to, if I don't know how something works, I have to look it up. Okay. And that's the same deal with someone coming to me and saying, like they have a question and I'm like, wait, I've never dealt with that before. Let me call someone. Let me look that up. Let me do some homework and I'll get back to you. And even if I refer them to you, this, I follow up with you. What does that mean? Yeah. Like, tell me how that works. Because the next time somebody comes to me, I want to have that information in my arsenal.
Right.
And I believe fully that information equals options. Like I would imagine with you, with all the programs that you have.
Movement has so many programs and my head's been spinning the last 2 weeks. I'm literally don't know where to. I mean, I've been trying to focus on the strongest ones that they have because they just have so many, which is great. I have to learn them.
But you can explain, and I can to a degree, FHA versus conventional, and what does that mean with interest rates and insurance, and those are just the basic programs. But
I'm going to be doing a VA loan class.
Ooh.
Right. Right.
Anybody says class. My dad.
People are jumping at me to do this class, right? So There's a lot of realtors that don't know too much about the VA product. Okay. The VA product and
it gets shunned, which is really sad.
It gets shunned. And I think that there needs to be more education on the VA product. I've said it many times in episodes before that the VA can do this and VA could do that. I think sometimes it's one of my most talked about clips on VA loans because people just are driven to hear more about that. Right.
Well, and if a realtor doesn't know about it, it's not just the buyer, it's the seller.
Yeah.
Like you have to educate the seller on what it means. So they're not scared and think, oh, well, VA is going to kill the sale.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's not true. This is what will sell your home. This is how I know.
Yeah.
And that's having the right team of professionals.
Yeah. I think that that's huge is we're going to do like a VA education class. Just throw current guidelines down. Like a lunch or a happy hour, and then you
both of those work for
both, right? Yeah, or you drink on lunch, whatever you want to do. You don't have to have a happy hour. Whatever works for you. Most realtors do drink on lunch, I'm sure. So in this current market,
professional has all four of those components, and you have built trust. You have built trust with your client, and that is the priceless part.
Yeah,
because then they're going to come back to you for the honest information. They know that you're going to get back to them. They know that you're going to show them options and not just do it your way.
Yeah. I actually made a note here, and it's good that you said this. Only 47% of first-time buyers actually trust their lender. 47% of first-time buyers trust their lender. 53% don't trust their lender. Okay.
Wow.
So it's almost right down the middle. More than half of first-time buyers getting into the market do not trust the person that they're going through to get their mortgage. Okay. The reason why is because they feel they're just being sold.
Well,
okay. They're not being educated. They're not being told. They're being sold. I didn't mean to cut you off.
The care isn't there.
Right.
Because 53% of those lenders might be giving the vibe that they care about the sale, not the people.
Yeah. And I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
A lot of these people go online, these not loan officers, the buyers go online and they find a loan officer and they get sold on whatever it is. The person, there is no relationship there. And a lot of these, and I think that hurts new people getting in because remember now, when somebody closes a mortgage and the buyer buys a house, they go to their other friends and say, this is the experience that I had. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. And if they say, I didn't trust this guy from day one and we just went with him and closed because we wanted the house, but it was a terrible process because I could tell he just wanted to sell me. You tell that to another group of kids, they're not going to want
I hear the same thing with real estate agents all the time. I just wanted the house. I went to a listing agent. I didn't really care if, maybe I did get screwed over a little bit.
I just wanted the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is terrible. But that's what the market is.
Honestly, 2020 and 2021 were a lot of that. And it was really, I had to educate my clients. I had to actually forget educating them. I had to talk with them and talk them off ledges and talk them out of some sales because I knew they were going to regret it down the line.
Yeah.
We never waived an inspection unless there was already an inspection report. We never, there had to be information involved. And I had one that I worked with for a year, and she was living at home. She was working in the hallway of her in-laws. Her day job was in the hallway.
Doing what?
I
was like a computer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay. I understand.
Right. But still.
Well, that's pretty bad. Yeah.
And two kids, and I believe they weren't even in school yet.
Right.
And so it was crazy. And she got desperate. We put in all these offers, but they started out FHA in 2020. They hardly had any savings, but we formed a trust and they started saving. They started working on their credit.
Yeah.
And by the time they did buy, they were conventional and could put some money towards a bidding war that they didn't need, thank goodness. But a month before that, we're looking at these tear down type of places because she's desperate.
Right.
And I pulled her aside and I said, we're not doing this anymore. We're not looking at these things. It's coming. I can feel it. I have this really weird gut feeling with my buyers that I can tell when it's going to happen.
Right.
And
you got to be patient.
I have to be patient. And that was a market where no one was. And that's the scary thing, is that they were just going with any professional. They were going with any loan program.
Yeah. Just to get the house and do whatever.
And they weren't listening to advice. They weren't listening to details. And a lot of them got burnt afterwards.
Yeah.
And I hated that market.
I know.
I don't like how slow it is right now, but I hated all of that.
I think everybody, there was a love-hate for 2020 and 2021. I mean, the love was we were killing it, right? We're busy. We're making money, and things were happy and going crazy, right? So, and everybody was sitting in their house stuck because they weren't allowed to go outside because of the pandemic. So, and we were busy. So it made the day go by, right? Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, it wasn't fun because you were killing yourself to get these deals, multiple offers, and just really dead, and I would bet
a lot of agents, both loan officers and agents, were not working on their business at all because they didn't have any time or energy.
You're not going to market at that point. The deals are flying at you. You're not going to. What are you going to have time to market? You don't need to.
Yeah.
And then once that market stopped anywhere, you should have.
You find time
because then you would have now been a lot better. Right. Because you would have been doing that back then, so. All right. So we're moving along. We're getting close to getting into the almighty question of I know you said you don't like predictions, right? But, I mean, let's take us to next year at this time. Do you think it's going to be, I read something on the way here that a market guru had said that the predictions were that the mortgage volume and purchase volume was going to go from 1.8 trillion in 2024 to 2.3 trillion in 2025. So up 600 million or whatever it is in volume. That the Fannie's predicting this and the MBA's predicting this and everybody's predicting this. And he doesn't see it. Like he said, I just don't see how the volume could go up this year. He thinks it's going to be a worse year.
I think it's going to stay steady.
Yeah.
I'd rather not be negative.
Right.
I'd rather think.
Yeah. I don't think he was trying to be negative either. I think he was just trying to tell the truth.
Realistic. Right. But I think it's going to be steady. I don't think it's going to be anybody's big year or anybody's worst year.
Yeah.
I think a lot of factors unfortunately just depend on how we see the economy progressing.
Yeah.
The interest rates going up does not help because it's not just that they're going up, it's the fact that they're going up.
Yeah.
And eggs, seriously, $5 for a dozen. Like a snow day used to be the cheapest thing, milk, eggs, bread.
Yeah,
now
you don't even want to go.
I could probably get processed food a lot cheaper now. Which is really
people are just going and buying wine and beer instead of eggs and milk because they're saying, you know what, if I'm going to spend that money, I might as well just drink.
Yeah, or because coffee. I don't know, hot chocolate.
Right. My kids will, will get canes or something. Let them eat canes and do whatever. I mean, that's you're right. The cost of living is crazy.
But it's consumer confidence. So if consumer confidence cannot go up, neither are sales.
Yeah,
I do not think prices are going to go down. I think because the inventory is so low, and I think prices will continue to go up on homes that are move-in ready.
Okay.
And when I say move-in ready, I don't mean you could live in them. I mean, they don't need upgraded.
Okay.
Because that whole move-in ready definition has changed since I started real estate. It used to be, you could move in and
it's all done and ready to go.
Or you don't have to do anything right away.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the homes, you don't have to do anything right away, but they have wallpaper and they need a new kitchen at some point, but it might have all stainless steel, but for Formica countertops, that's not move-in ready to a lot of the population. Mm-hmm. And because one, it's going to take money to upgrade it. We don't have any. Yeah.
They barely have enough money to close,
and
let alone upgrade.
My teaching background taught me there is a whole generation, because I was part of the teaching of it, where shop and home ec was taken out and nobody knows how to do anything.
Right.
So they have to hire someone. So now you need even more money to do something.
And the problem is that the help out there is not there either. You try to find a plumber right now or an electrician. Good luck.
They're older because it was taken out of schools. Now it's put back in, so we can hope that the next generation.
But I mean, you can't get anybody to respond to you to come do the work.
Right.
Right.
Or they scam you, or I've heard, that's why I always say the got a guy thing. I have it through all my clients. Like anytime they love someone, I'm like, who is it?
Yeah.
I want to meet them.
Right. Because you want it in your book of.
Right. And I want to know that they're worth it. I do a lot of networking, but I'll never, ever refer somebody just because I networked with them.
Right. Tell us about, you do a lot of networking. So I did want to touch on that real quick.
Okay.
Is the networking worth it right now? Is it, how is networking different from when me and you remember going to happy hours and things like that back in 2017 and 18 versus now? Is when you go in, because I'm not a big networker anymore. Like we used to go to a lot of things, and now I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm stupid. I should get out there, right? So,
well, I gotta get.
And she's been trying to do that too, and a number of other agents too have been trying to push me to get out more, which I'm planning to do. But is it different?
Since COVID, it's incredibly different because it blew up. Like everyone was stuck inside. So all of a sudden, like last week, if I belonged to everything I did belong to, I would have had 6 events.
So the events are flowing.
Yes.
Are people going to the events?
Yes.
So the events are crowded. And is there interesting talk at these events, or is there just...
It's like speed dating.
Okay.
Like you're like, hey, how are you? What do you do? Oh, that's interesting. We should get together. Okay, I'm going to meet this person now.
And then you just get their info or whatever and then move on?
So I've kind of taken a little bit of a step back because if anybody knows me, I was part of a lot of chambers, even on boards. I just have thought I get more out of it when I meet somebody for coffee or lunch or breakfast. Right. So instead, I'm kind of doing more of that.
Okay. Then the actual events.
Right.
They got these Thirsty Thursdays and these other things like.
So those I haven't done one. I actually keep meaning to.
Not that I can't. I mean, it's just threw that out there. I don't know anything about that. What were you saying?
I've actually always meant to do one of those. I actually
Thirsty Thursday. I see it all the time. Like loan officers and a realtor and a home inspector and a title guy. They all.
But I find the same deal with those. If I'm going to talk to another realtor, I want to talk to another realtor. Yeah. I don't want to be yelling over a glass of, I love my martinis, but I don't want to be yelling over a martini.
It's loud and right.
Yeah. Right. I'd rather go to lunch with them. Right. So a lot of times I focus on my co-ops, the agents that I work with on sales, because I can tell who they are and how good they are. And
I mean, back in the day, we used to be excited to go to event because we're like, we're going to meet all these realtors. We're going to get all their cards and then we're going to follow up with them the next day. And then they're going to go out to lunch with us the week after. And then we're going to get 10 deals from them. Right. That was like the excitement. Right. It was like, how many business cards did you get tonight, Alex? 6 from Berkshire, 3 from Weicker. You laid them all into the table the next day. You didn't know any of them. You drank 2 martinis, so you were drunk from that night before. So you were like, that guy was great. You call the guy and you're like, hey man, I met you last week at that event. I got your card because you don't call the next day. It was like dating. You waited a few days to call them. And then you call them and said, hey, I met you at the thing last week. You want to go to lunch or go to, and a lot of them would say, no.
Right.
I don't even remember you. And I have my own mortgage guy. And you know what I mean? So,
well, so the networking things I found now are more social.
Yeah.
So a lot of them go just for the drinks or the food.
Right.
Some are much more serious. Like I'm part of Jersey Man and I find that that is purely what networking is.
Right.
It is.
Right.
And it's social too, don't get me wrong, but that's where I feel like I can have a conversation and then extend the conversation and they'll remember who I am.
Right. Which is great.
Yeah.
And you've met people that have done business with you from these networking events.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm actually really good friends with some people I've been doing chamber events since 16 years.
Loan officers are listening to this too on the loan officer side. Go to a networking event because no, you're not going to get somebody that might want to buy a home on the spot and let's go under contract next week. That's not going to happen. But you will run into somebody who says, you know what, Alex, I need to refi.
Yeah.
I need to cash out. I need to do a cash out refi on my house and take cash out in order to pay off debt.
And you're actually
you could do that right on the spot.
You'll actually find that you'll meet somebody that you can help, maybe not from your business, but you could connect them to someone else.
Correct. And then it turns into a referral then down the road.
Just a great feeling.
It's a network.
Because I meet a lot of people that I can't personally use.
Sure.
So I'm just like, well, how can I connect you to somebody
else
that
right.
can?
Right.
And then, at least they got something out of the conversation, even though I couldn't directly help them.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So the last thing I'm going to make a statement here, and then you can of course chime in because you're great at your input. So there's business out there. Okay. No matter how many heavy hitters are in the business, no matter how many realtors and loan officers are doing crazy numbers, there's always still more business out there. Okay. There's always more opportunity out there that you don't know about. You could have 6 loan officers or 6 realtors in one branch doing crazy numbers. Okay. And they don't even run into each other. Like they're just one's doing their business here. One's doing their business there. One has a spear here. There's always business to be had.
Absolutely.
Right. There's
100%.
always opportunity out there. So, don't think that, oh, this guy's doing 100 million in my branch or this girl's closing 60 deals a month in houses or whatever, and that there's no other deals out there because she has all the business.
Well,
I mean, right?
No, it's true. And a lot of it too is personalities. So it's kind of like dating too. It's all like dating. It's like when you're finding the right lender and you're finding the right realtor, you have to kind of click. Yeah. You have to, like I said, you have to be able to build that trust. If you don't have the same personalities, you're not going to.
Yeah. There's like 6,000 deals a month being done every day across the U.S. Did you know that?
Like there are,
6,000. Like if you can't get it one, there's plenty to go around, guys. Go ahead.
I've actually found that people don't want me to give them information, but it's very hard for me to not say, look out. So,
well, of course.
But I have had that where we don't want all this information. And I'm like, well, then I might not be the realtor for you.
See, that's the problem. Like if the realtor or a loan officer is trying to educate you and give you information that's going to help you and you're running from it, you don't want to know or you don't want to hear or you think you know more than them, even though they do it every day, all day, that's wrong. Take it from the people that have done it on the front line. Take it from the people that have experience. Because they probably know a little bit more than you, even though you are a Google maniac and you go on every website there is. There's always more to find out from the person who's actually doing it. I welcome people calling me all day, just asking me questions. I don't care.
Me too.
It doesn't matter to me. Actually makes me feel better. Yeah. Because I feel like I'm like, wow,
useful.
I know this stuff.
You're useful. We're here.
I know this stuff. Wow, I can answer that. Listen, if I don't know the answer, I'm going to get you the answer. Right? I'm going to find out
exactly
what the answer is, and then I'm going to get back to you and tell you what the answer is.
Right. And that's why I work with you.
Right. So that's so it's big, but I just touching back, the opportunities are still out there. I think they're still going to be out there no matter what.
Well, everyone's going to have to. The one thing we learned from COVID, especially in Pennsylvania, the one thing we learned is that housing is essential.
Yeah.
Moving is essential. We're all going to have to do it at some point in time. And you want the trusted professionals by your side when you do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And don't go with the rocket mortgages and the stuff like that, right? Because it's
that's not the trusted professionals. So no.
Right. We don't want to go there. You want to leave us with anything? Is there any advice for any
pearls of wisdom?
Any words of wisdom before we roll out of here? And it's Saturday in the real estate business. So what happens on Saturdays and Sundays in the real estate business? We do deals.
Yes, that's
right. We help
people. It's so
people.
funny because I have so many people who are like, "I'm so sorry to bother you on a Sunday," and I'm like, "Sunday's like my busiest day. It's fine. It's like that's what I'm here for."
Yeah, just don't call me during the Eagles game, like 4:30 to 7:30 to leave me alone.
I'll still answer the phone during the Eagles game, but
I do too, but I'm not happy. Or I'm like, yes. What do you need? All right.
But that's one reason I cut back on networking things is because evenings, weekends, that is my busiest. Dinner time, lunchtime, I try to have those at different times because I know that's when I'm going to get phone calls.
Yeah. You know what it is? I get up early in the morning and go work out like you do.
Oh, I do. We both said like 4:30,
then I'm ready. So by 8 o'clock, I'm ready to roll here. I'm like, why is the phone not ringing? I should be blowing up. I'm ready to do this. Where's the emails at? Nothing happens between 8 and 2. Like we are just dead. Okay. Yeah. 2 o'clock rolls around. I'm getting tired.
Oh, I get 12. I'm huge.
I'm starting to yawn at like 3 o'clock. I'm like, I'm ready to go. I just, go pick up my kid from school maybe because this is just a dead day. This stinks. Right. Here we go. The phone starts ringing. 3:30, 4 o'clock and on. The emails start blasting. The text messages start coming in. I'm getting rocked at dinner time. Right. Rocked. I can't even talk to half the people in my ass because we're just getting crushed. It doesn't end until 7 or 8 o'clock, or maybe even 9. 9. I was going to say 9. Right. And then I go to bed. I'm like, I was so busy today. I'm dead. I was crazy today. You're like, you really had a busy day? I had such a busy day. But really, it didn't start until 2.
Right.
or 3. That's the thing in the mortgage and real estate business. It doesn't start at 8 a.m. Like you could get in the office at 9 or 10 o'clock in the real estate business and you're just sitting, you can hear pins.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You come back in at 3 or 4 o'clock, the action starts. Am I right or no?
Yeah, I find myself anytime, like sometimes the reason I work out at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning,
I mean, we're early, right?
Is because sometimes I get the calls at 7:30.
You get them early.
I get them earlier, and then they stop around 10 to 12, and then lunchtime I'm back.
They start to come back,
and then they disappear, and then 5 o'clock,
the dinner time.
Yeah, and then 7 to 8's really busy.
You know what? I used to yell and say, "You had all day to call me. Now, why are you calling me at 5 o'clock saying you want to buy a house? Now, where you been all day?" Right? And then people remind me they have a job. Right?
They're working.
They have a job.
Have flexible schedules like us.
They have a job. They haven't been sitting home all day saying, "Oh, let's call Alex at 5 o'clock."
And I normally do put do not disturb after 9 because I get up at 4:30. I go to bed at like 9:30.
Yeah.
But I do have buyers who work different shifts. So if I know that, I am available at 11 o'clock at night.
Sure.
It just depends on, like I said, client care. It depends on their
Starting
goals.
to get tired though. After 9 o'clock, I got to go to bed, dude. I can't.
I'm tired at 3 p.m. But
it's like you got to call me at 9 o'clock. Can't we do this first thing in the morning? And they're like, "Well, I'd rather call you now." I'm like, "Okay, call me now." Yeah, it's 9:03 at night, but we can do it. All right. What do you want to talk about? And I do it. I mean, that's it. So, listen, this was a great show. I'm glad you came on. I really am.
I am too.
I think that you did great. And I think that people, there's not many people that are doing it and just are saying this is just what it is. And that's what you're saying.
Oh, yeah. No,
you're just saying this is what it is.
Because you want to set up
this is what I do. And that's just what the market is.
You want to set up real expectations. And I mean, the only thing I have to say about 2025 is keep working, keep doing what you do.
Yeah.
And it's going to be okay.
There you go. Awesome stuff. Check out this episode. It's going to be airing this upcoming Wednesday, as it does every Wednesday morning. Of course, Kara, you can always reach out to. You know, she's in New Jersey, but she does PA too.
And some of you might know me as KJ.
KJ, right? Exactly. So, you know, she's a full timer too. I preach full timers. Last week, I preached a big time that you got to be a full timer in this business in order to really get the feeling of getting the service that you want. Well, and she's in it.
I love it. So it doesn't even feel like I'm full time.
Yeah.
I love it. I breathe it. I sleep it. I eat it.
Yeah. So there you go. So appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
We will revisit you down the road. You know what I mean?
Maybe we'll talk about 2026.
Yeah. We'll talk about 2026, you know, we'll hopefully be millionaires then or something like that. Who knows? And I'll talk to you guys next week. Thank you again. And have a safe week.